So this week we heard about Tesla's earnings and that they lost something like $400 million. And the question is, does that matter? And you have to consider the entirety of the Tesla corporation. Tesla sells cars and they have a lot of investors and they're doing a lot of growth. They've got some new factories they've opened, they've expanded into different markets, they're building the Supercharger network, they're doing a lot of things and spending a lot of money. So the question is, does it matter? I'm not sure that it does. I mean, you have to pay back your debt, you have to take care of some of the operating costs and the expenses you have. They do have a large amount of cash on hand, so that doesn't concern me at all in that case because they're in a spot where they're in good shape, financially speaking. Now, it doesn't mean that they're perfect. Far from it, because they shouldn't be losing that much money over the course of. But if you look at the big picture of the way they've managed the company and the things that they've done some things right. They sold more cars than they'd ever sold. They have a better infrastructure than they've ever had. And it seems like they're kind of figuring it out. Now, it's a whole new world out there as far as these cars go. But I think at this point, losing money is not necessarily an indicator of something wrong with the company. It may be a bigger problem. And I noticed the CTO stepped down, and I think that's part of the strategy is to kind of change the way they think about their technology. So in a way, that makes sense. Now, investors look at the company differently. If you think about the way the investors look at it, they look at what is your actual numbers? How many did you sell? What was your operating revenue? What was your operating loss? That sort of thing. So from an investor perspective, certainly this is not good news. And I understand why they're knee-jerking the way they are, but I don't know that that's the right answer. I think the company still has value. I think the company is still doing some very good things, and I think in the long term they'll be proven out to be right. We'll see, of course, but I think it's kind of interesting. Now, on another topic, they did reduce the price of the cars a little bit, and I know some people are upset about that, but I think in the big picture, I think that helps them move more cars, and if they can reduce their expense to build a car, then certainly reducing the price of the car will help. The standard range plus for the Model 3 went down about $1,000. And I haven't been able to find any documentation that says what the standard range costs, how much it went down. And my understanding is it went down maybe a couple of $100s, but you have to consider that you're also giving up a couple of $1,000s in the federal tax credit, because on June 30th, the federal tax credit changed. It went from, what was it, $3,750 down to $1,875 or something like that. So you get less money out of the in your tax returns anyway. So should you be concerned about it? If you happen to purchase between July 1st and July whatever it was 20th, maybe you'd feel a little bad because you actually may have lost $1,000 in the transaction. But otherwise, I don't feel like I'm any worse off than I was personally. And that's just me. Everybody's got a different opinion about how this should work. But the fact that they lowered the price doesn't bother me so much. I actually think it's a good thing in the big picture. Third thing I wanted to talk about was these cars and the way they retain their value. Now, I understand that these cars do maintain their value quite well, and I'd like to show you why they maintain their value and why I think these other things relate back to this, and it has to do with the technology in the car. When you look at the car, you realize it has no moving parts. There's no engine, there's no oil, there's no belts, there's no hoses, there's no spark plugs. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in a traditional internal combustion engine car that this car just doesn't have, and other cars like it don't have. Because the car itself is so well made from just having a motor, tires, and brakes. That's really all the moving parts there are, other than a few other mechanical things. But those are all easily fixable as they are in any electronic device. The windshield wipers, the power windows, and that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff, okay, that may go wrong, but it doesn't affect the operation of the car. So the car itself primarily relies on the most important feature, and that is the software. The software is the thing that drives the car, and they can send updates to you at any time about the software to help get the software running and make sure that your car is maintaining its optimum efficiency. Now, I trade off back and forth with the Tesla company because I share a lot of information about myself. There's a lot of personal information about driving habits, things that I do, places I go, what efficiency I'm getting out of the car. All of those things are shared with Tesla. All of my dash cam videos potentially are too. I don't know. There's no evidence to support that it is or it isn't, but all of that information is potentially available to Tesla. And in the big picture, I'm okay with that because I'm sharing information that I think in the long run will help the company to have more success. See my previous notes about the way the companies run and having making or losing money on their investments and their stock in the stock market. So the thing that really drives this is the software updates, and that's the most important thing you have in this car that really drives it. So let's take a look at the software update because it's ready for a software update right now. And I got a notification that it was time to do a software update. So I opened up my app and I can see that there's a notification here. It tells me, hey, you need to do a software update. If I actually click on it, it'll ask me if I want to do it remotely, and I can actually do it remotely if I want to. So that's pretty cool. I can sit there and actually start the car update doing it remotely. Now you'll see that it actually has some icons up here. This one right here is telling me it's connected to my Wi-Fi. So I am on Wi-Fi right now. I'm connected to my home network. The signal strength isn't so great, but I am connected to it. I need to move my router again. But anyway, that's there. And I also see there's a little icon here with a clock, and it's telling me that it's ready to do an update and that it's time to push the, I can have it install the update when I want it to, or I can start it right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on that. There we go. And it's gonna ask me what I wanna do. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell it I wanna do the update right now. I'm gonna say install now. I can tell it when I wanna do it if I really wanna do it at a different time. So I'll say install now. It's going to tell me that it's ready to do the update. It's doing a countdown because it's important to realize that the screen is going to be non-functional for 25 minutes while it's doing the update. So that's important to understand that I can't drive the car for that 25 minutes. So I'm doing the update now while I'm sitting in my garage. It's the perfect time to do it. And I'll let it just run, and when it's done, we'll take a look at it. All right, so now it's going to run through the update. It'll go through some pieces of information here. It'll start downloading some data. It'll actually start retrieving things to get ready for the update, and then eventually it'll blank out the screen completely, and then the screen will restart as it does the install, much as you do when you're installing software on your phone, your computer, anywhere else that you may have it. It's a very similar thing with the way that it actually does the update. It'll actually just start downloading, and then it will actually do the install when it's ready. While we waited, we could see that the update was coming up on the phone. We knew that it was actually doing the update, and it's now completed. So let's take a look. All right, it's telling us what we've got done here, the updates that came in. So let's see, we've got the CHAdeMO charging stations adapter. Okay, you can get the adapter from them. Sketchpad improvements. Sketchpad is kind of fun. Owner's manual is included online here, so we'll have that available. Beach Buggy 2 Racing Edition 2, that's cool. Application launcher. Okay, to make it easier, get to the toy box. Mofo keyboard. Okay, don't know what that is. Haven't really played with that. All right, cool. Display brightness, dog mode improvements. Very cool. Okay, so that's what was in this update. So we can see some of those things if we go down here. Sometimes things change a little bit. If we go to the arcade, let's see what's in the arcade. Is there anything else? I know they were supposed to put a chess game in here, but I think that might come in the next update. Looks like it will, because they're going to have another update in a month or so. So I guess the chess update is coming later, and that's okay. That's cool. So if we come here and we see the see what things look like, looks like things are more or less the same here as far as I can tell. Sometimes things are a little different. They'll make a change to it, whatever. This looks like it's pretty much the same things that we saw before. Don't see anything. For the most part, things stayed the way they were. Nothing really changed as far as that goes. Some updates and some enhancements. So really interesting that they give us these enhancements, and sometimes they're really important, and sometimes you kind of go, all right, that's cool. This is one that was a that's cool. But really, this is why the Teslas hold their value in that way, because they're always updating the software. It can be a very subtle enhancement or a very large enhancement, but when things change, we know about them. And things are always updating. And this car, they can change some of the active safety features. They can do some things with the dash cams. They can do some things that maybe you might not have had otherwise. So really important to realize that these software updates are the critical reason why the Teslas maintain their value in that sense.